Hi, third graders. Um, we're going to go over the quiz from the Understanding Categories of Shapes lesson from your iReady this week. It was one of the teacher assigned lessons. Many of you did great on it. Many of you struggled with it a little bit. So I thought we'd go over the quiz together, look at each problem, talk through each one, and then you can check your thinking. Maybe you'll be able to correct yourself a little bit, or maybe you'll just get reassurance that you're on the right track. Okay, so let's take a look. All right.
Complete the sentence. This square has.
So for these questions, it's important to look at the shape and look at each one of these options to decide if it's true about the shape they're asking. This one shows you a picture of a square, and you have to decide which one option goes in this blank. Does a square have 5 sides? It does not. So that is not an option. Does a square have 0 right angles? It doesn't. You have to look at the angles on a square. Each one of these has a square, a perfect square angle, or perfect right angle, which is also called a square angle. They are perfectly square, and so clearly there are right angles in a square, so this is not a good option. All sides are the same length, so you have to look at them. There's 4 sides. Are they all the same length? They are, so that's a good option. Let's check the last one. No sides are the same length. Well, we just said that they're all the same, so that one can't be. So that means our only option is to pick all sides the same length. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my other marks before I make my choice. But notice how I thought about each one of those options before I am going to make my final selection. All right, all sides are the same length.
Complete the sentence. This shape has.
All right, so we're going to look at each one of these. Does this shape have some right angles? So we're going to look at all the angles in this shape. This is not right. This is not a right angle. Actually, this one might be a right angle now that I look at it. But this one right here is definitely a right angle. It's a perfect square, which means it's a right angle. So it does have some right angles. So I'm going to keep that one as an option. No right angles? No, we just found a couple, so we're going to get rid of that one. All sides are the same length. So let's take a look. I can see clearly that this side is not the same length as this side. So that means this cannot be the answer. No sides are the same length. Well, I'm going to take a look. I can tell that this side here is the same as this side here. So there are some sides that are the same length. So we can't, that is not a good choice. So that means our only answer is some right angles. So let me get rid of my marks here. I know it's not very exciting to watch me erase, but there's just no fast way to do it that I have discovered. So bear with me. All right, so we're going to select some right angles.
Choose all the shapes that have opposite sides the same length.
All right, there's a couple of things that can trip you up on this question. First of all, choose all the shapes. That means there could be more than one. And then we're looking at opposite sides that have the same length. Opposite means not right up against each other, but opposing each other. So take a look at this one. We've got a side here, and the opposite side is right here. Those are the same length. Same on this. This side is opposite this side, and those are the same length as each other. So this one has opposite sides the same length. We're not going to just pick that one and be done. We've got to look at all of them because it says we need to choose all the shapes that fit that description. So this one is harder to see. It's an irregular shape, but these don't have any sides that are the same length. So it can't be that one. On this one here, we've got a side here, and the opposite side is right here. And those are definitely not the same size, the same length. So that one can't be. And then here's a rectangle. Let's look at this side, and the opposite side is here. Those are the same length. And then we've got another set of sides that are opposite each other. Those are also the same length as each other. So that means we've got two shapes that fit this description. So that means we're going to have to select both of them because the directions say choose all. I have a feeling that for some of us, we may have picked one and stopped and didn't carefully consider if there were more that fit that description. So let's get rid of these marks. Get my selector out. I'm going to select that one and that one. Erase my check marks so I don't get confused. My writing up here. I need to do some looking around to see if there's a quick and easy way to erase everything at one time. Okay, next.
Which shape has right angles and sides that are the same length?
Okay, so here we're going to look for one shape. It says which shape, not which shapes. And we're looking for something with right angle. That means that square angle. And they put it in all caps so that we could see it clearly. And sides that are the same length. So the shape that we pick has to have both of those things. All right, we're looking for right angles. We have squares which have right angles. All of the angles, in fact, in a square are right. And does a square have sides that are the same length? Sure does. So that's an option, but we've got to look at the rest. Here's a trapezoid. It does not have any right angles. This angle is bigger than a right angle, and this angle is smaller than a right angle. Bigger, smaller, no right angles. That means we can get rid of it. This here is a rhombus. And it also has 4 angles, but these two are smaller than 90 degrees. And these two, oops, that one went up. These two are bigger than 90 degrees, or bigger than a right angle. So no right angles there either. All right, let's take a look at this one. This is an irregular shape. It's called a trapezoid, but it doesn't look like the traditional trapezoid that you're used to seeing in pattern blocks. This one does have some right angles. Look, there's one right there, and there's one right there. We're looking for those perfect squares. But does it also have sides that are all the same length? I can see this side is clearly shorter than this side. That means it's not going to fit. It has to have both of those categories in order to select it. So I'm going to erase my marks because I know that that square is the only shape on this screen that has both right angles and sides that are all the same length. When we're putting shapes into categories, we've got to make sure that we're paying attention to what the category is. And it has to fit. If it gives us 2 descriptors, it has to have both of them in order to have that be the right answer. Okay. I know my answer is my square. And let's get rid of all this info. And select my square.
What do all these shapes have in common?
All right, we're looking at all the shapes. We can't just look at 1 or 2. We have to look at all of them, and we're looking for what they have in common. That means what's the same in all of them or true about all of them. So let's take a look. No sides are the same length. No sides the same length. I see on this shape that this side and this side are the same. This side and this side are the same. 4 sides that are the same on the square. On this one here, this side is the same as this side. This one is the same as this one. And on our rectangle, it's got sides that are the same length. So this one cannot be an option. All right, all sides are the same length. And remember, it has to be true about all of these shapes. So let's look. on this very first one here, are all the sides the same length? They are not. These two are longer than these two. So that means this one can't be the right answer. Do they all have 4 sides? Let's look. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They do all have 4 sides. They are all quadrilaterals. I'm not going to cross that answer off. Do they all have 4 right angles? Well, I know the square and the rectangle, they have right angles, all 4 right angles. But let's take a look at these other 2 shapes. This is not a right angle. This is not a right angle. And on this one as well, these are not 4 right angles. So that means this cannot be the answer. The only thing that's true about all of these shapes is that they all have 4 sides. If you don't take the time to go through each one of those and see if they fit all of those shapes, it's real easy to pick the wrong answer.
What do all these shapes have in common?
All right, again, we're looking for what is true about all of them. If it's untrue about just one of them, we can't pick that answer. All right, we're looking for shapes that have at least 1 right angle. That means they could have more, but they have to have at least 1. All right, so let's take a look. This triangle has a right angle right there. Rectangles definitely have right angles. This one here might be hard to see because there's a lot of angles and a lot of them are bigger and smaller than right angles, but there's at least 1 right angle right there. And remember, we've talked about how you always have tools to check if an angle is a right angle. It's the corner of a piece of paper. You can slide it in there, and if it touches both the sides going up and down and across, it's a right angle, a square angle. And then this one here, it has a right angle too. It doesn't matter that they're not all right angles. It just says at least 1 right angle. So that's a possible answer. All right angles. Do they have all right angles? Well, our triangle has 1 right angle, but this angle and this angle are not right angles. So that one can't be true. Exactly 4 sides. Exactly. That means no more, no less. How many sides does a triangle have? 3. That means they do not all have exactly 4 sides. By the way, this shape here also does not have exactly 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a pentagon. No sides the same length. I can see right here in my rectangle that it has opposite sides that are the same length. So that means that can't be true. The only one true about all of them is that they all have at least 1 right angle. Gosh, this feels so silly. All right, let's pick our answer. At least 1 right angle. All right, I think that's the last question it's going to show me. I hope that this helps a little bit in figuring out maybe where you went wrong. And if you need any more extra practice with questions like this, let me know, and I can look for some IXL tasks that might be helpful. Okay? All right. Talk to you later. Bye.